Well, our next guest has a unique insight on NHS spending. He is Adam Kay, a former junior doctor who's turned his hand to comedy, and he wrote that book that you've probably read, This Is Going to Hurt, The Secret Diaries of a Junior Doctor. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Are you heralding this as good news this morning, or this extra cash for the NHS?
It's better news than if it was no pounds or no percent, and it's better than it has been for the last 8 years. But we can't pretend that it's great. It's still, the NHS still needs 4% a year increase year on year to keep going, and it's had that for decades, and it hasn't had it for the last 8 years, and now it's getting 3-point-something%. So it's hard to pretend it's amazing. It's better than no news at all. But it's like if you'd had a pay cut at work 8 years in a row, and then you're suddenly told this year you're still getting a pay cut, but it's only 1% rather than, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult to smile too much about it.
Well, you've been right at the heart of the NHS. You've been on the front line. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because we were talking to the Health Secretary and he said, actually, the NHS is going to have to do its bit. It needs to come up with some efficiency plans as well. How much waste is there in the NHS when it comes to bureaucracy and spending?
You can always make efficiencies. Every system can get more efficient. The NHS is very efficient. But let's not, when we talk about the NHS isn't like buildings and CT scanners. The NHS is the 1.5 million people who work there, and those people can't be more efficient. If you speak to any NHS worker, they've spent the last few years going above and beyond. There's 100,000 vacancies. That means so many people are doing the work of 2, 3 other people.
They're working for free quite a lot of the time. They're
working for free because, you know, you stay late after work, and they're certainly not getting the pay rises. They've been having, in real terms, pay cuts, and that's what the money is going to help. There's a crisis in recruitment, there's a crisis in retention, and this is all because the NHS has been starved of funds. It's not getting enough money to make up for what they've lost. It's not even getting the amount they need to stay on a level. It's getting just under that. So let's not celebrate too hard. And also, let's wait to see that it happens first.
I saw you on stage a couple of weeks ago, and it was hilarious as you recount some of your tales as a junior doctor, but some of them are pretty horrific as well, some of your stories. Is there a danger you're actually going to put off people coming into the NHS? You talk about the desperate need for new doctors, but your book isn't exactly always an advert for it.
What my book is an honest portrayal of what it means to be a junior doctor. So I wrote funny anecdotes and sad anecdotes and silly anecdotes while I was working as a doctor. And I'm now out of the profession, as a lot of doctors, unfortunately, are. And when the government was saying doctors are being greedy a couple of years ago, they're striking because they want more money, they want this and they want that, that's not why doctors go into the profession. And so I thought that the public as a whole need to know what being a doctor actually means. And if a side effect of that is that people going into medicine have their eyes completely open about what the job involved, I think that's a good thing. I left because I didn't have the emotional wherewithal to deal with the toll the job takes, you know, at home and at work. And I wish I'd, not just for financial reasons, I wish that was a set text for people who go into medicine. If you're going to be put off by a few stories of objects in orifices, you're not going to... you're probably not going to be a good doctor in the first place.
Remember, it's breakfast TV, it's breakfast TV. Do you think the NHS looks after its staff? You talk there about having to leave because the emotional and mental strain that was put on you as a junior doctor. Do the NHS need to look after their staff better to retain the good ones?
They do. I mean, the main thing they need to do to retain their staff is to treat them fairly and make sure they're not doing the jobs of 2 or 3 other people. But we do need to remember to care for the carer, that just because you're wearing a stethoscope, just because you've got, you know, a decent line in gallows humour, you are just a human. And, you know, like they teach you in physics, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and, you know, breaking bad news is awful, you know, for a patient and a family, but also doing that day in, day out takes its toll on you as a person. And the days are impossibly hard when there are people waiting in corridors and on trolleys. And so, yeah, we do need to look after our staff, but they do need more resources.
Yeah, and as the NHS turns 70 this summer, can you see it surviving another 70 years?
Yes, I can. It is fit for purpose. It does need more money, even more money than it's had. This is a good start, and it's acknowledging that it can live another 70 years, but we need to take care of it. It's an old girl.
OK, Adam, love your optimism. Thank you very much. Adam
Thank
Kay,
you.
This Is Going to Hurt is his book. Yeah, interesting reading. Makes you think
and it's very funny,
twice about what
It is
goes
very
on in
funny.
hospital, doesn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very
yeah,
funny.
nice
Adam,
to see.
thank you very much.
Thank you.